Hello everyone, I'm Jonathan Little for PokerCoaching.com, and I have another exciting hand from this 2,000, 4,000, 8,000 game that took place in Montenegro recently, hosted by Triton Poker and Party Poker. Before we get started, if you are enjoying my content here on YouTube, click like, click subscribe, and share it with your friends. That will go a long way to helping me, and it costs you nothing, so thanks for that. Here we see Tan wake up with pocket aces in the straddle. Woo! This is where you usually win all the money, because if you're straddling, it kind of implies you're a little bit loose, a little bit active, although I think everyone was straddling here. Tan plays a relatively aggressive style of poker, so he is going to get action, which is great. When you play an aggressive strategy and you get aces, this is where you make loads of money. All right, so we have Paul limping from early position with pocket fours off of a 770,000 euro stack, so roughly 100 big blinds. We see Badziakouski with king-queen offsuit. I think he can certainly limp or raise depending on what he thinks about Paul's overall strategy. I'd probably just go ahead and raise here. And he does make it 48, so a solid, sizable raise. I like that a lot. That's going to result in the pot getting heads up almost every time, which is great. May end up heads up with the person he didn't want to be heads up against this time, though. So with aces, some people in this spot look to slow play, but I'm not a big fan of slow playing at all. I pretty much always put in the 3-bet. These chips, by the way, this big giant one is 100,000. These red disc are 10,000 each, and the only regular looking chip at the table is 1,000. So pretty high stakes game. A lot of money at risk. So in this scenario, if I was Tan, I would probably 4-bet to something like 125, or 3-bet to 125. It's not a 4-bet because this is a limp, and this is a raise. So the next raise would be a re-raise, which is the third bet. So I'd 3-bet to about a 125 here to give Badziakouski plenty of room to jam for his 600K stack. If you start making it bigger than 125, like say make it 175 or something like that, then it allows Badziakouski just to fold a lot because he realizes if he jams, he has almost no fold equity. I probably would have re-raised a little bit bigger than what Tan did here because when you re-raise to 110, you're just going to get called almost every time, which is fine with aces, don't get me wrong. Like, you're happy about that. But it makes it to where, like, if you have ace-king here, do you really want to give your opponent good odds to call in position? And the answer is no. If you have pocket jacks, you really want to give them good odds to call in position? The answer is no. So, yes, this sizing works specifically with aces, but if your opponents are aware of this tendency to make really small re-raises with exactly aces in spots like this, then it may indicate an extreme amount of strength when you do this, which will allow them to start making really big folds. Like, for example, if you know your opponent always makes it 2.5 your raise with non-aces, and then they make it 2 times your raise with aces, well, when they make it 2 times your raise, just fold everything. Life's easy. And then you don't end up having to call in spots like this with king-queen. Not knowing what's going on, though, I definitely like a call from the king-queen offsuit. Obviously, you don't want to be playing hands that have really bad reverse implied odds, like king-queen does. But getting great odds in position, I think it's just a little bit too good to turn down. Especially given I know that Tan plays a decent amount of pots. I've watched a lot of this content from Triton Poker and Party Poker. If you are not watching it or subscribing to it on YouTube, definitely do that. Give them some love. And Tan gets after it. He plays some pots. He's not a nit by any means. Neither is Badziakouski. He sticks around as well. You're going to find that many of the best players in the world get in there and they battle. All right. Top pair for Badziakouski. This is where he gets in a lot of trouble, unless he gets the king or the queen or the clubs. So now Tan should probably just go ahead and make a small bet very frequently. Pot's 238. I'd bet 80K here. Notice that's going to just put Badziakouski in a pretty nasty spot with almost everything in his range. If he has a hand like tens, he can't really fold. If he has a queen, he's obviously not going to fold. If he has a hand like ace-jack with the ace of clubs, he may not even fold. So I think a small bet here is perfectly viable. Jungle Man reloads for a whopping 30 big blinds for some reason. Oh, there are some characters in the poker world, huh? All right, here we go. Let's get the bet lined up. Notice Tan's taking a very long time. He's over at 50 seconds, right? Some players you will find that whenever they do take a very long time to make a bet on the flop in a spot that should be somewhat routine, like you 3-bet pre-flop in the spot, you should be betting very frequently and small, right? Just across the board on this, especially on this very uncoordinated type board. Given he took very long, that may be an indicator of strength or weakness depending on how he plays. Clearly, it doesn't mean anything just observing it one time, but if you observe Tan's hands, let's say 20 times, and every time he goes way slower than normal, he just has an effective nut hand. Well, now when he goes way slower than normal, you can start making big folds. Obviously, you're not folding the king-queen, facing 110 bet. You're just going to call and go from there. You may say, why not raise the king-queen on the flop? Well, if you raise and get called, you're going to be against aces or kings or ace-queen, and you're going to lose. Or a really good draw. Turns a club, which is not particularly what Tan wanted, but it is what it is. It's probably okay just to go ahead and jam now. Badziakouski very easily could have a club. Ace, king of clubs, ace, queen with the ace of clubs, a king, queen with the king of clubs. He could obviously have a flush and you could be dead, but if you're against the flush, you're going to lose anyway. So I think now, instead of checking to try to induce a bluff, I think you'd rather jam to get called by, well, ace, queen, and king, queen type hands. Also, a hand like pocket tens with 10 of clubs may call it off. Thinking perhaps you have a hand like ace, king with ace of clubs, right? So I think you probably just want to go ahead and put your money in. Tan's going to give us some thoughts while we enjoy watching everyone else enjoy wine. I'm sure their conversation is great. If you want to watch it, go check out the Triton Poker YouTube channel. All right, Tan's taking forever. To be fair, I don't mind taking a little bit of time when making your decisions, like a minute here for what is going to be a roughly €1,000,000 pot. It's fine to take your time. So he does line up a 250K bet. That's kind of weird. When you see weird bet sizes, that's often an indicator of something. Again, either very extreme weakness or extreme strength. Funny enough, he's not actually extremely strong here. As you see, the king-queen wins 32% of the time. I don't really see another option besides calling or jamming. The question is, can Badziakouski call and then fold to a river bet for another 100,000 euros? And I think the answer is just no. So because of that, I think you'd rather go ahead and get it in. Like I said, you could be against a hand like ace king with ace of clubs, which you're way ahead against. You could be against a hand like jacks with jack of clubs that's going to call it off. So now I think, oddly enough, I think this has gone to become a scenario where Badziakouski's hand went from being not so great to a hand that you just cannot fold. And since we're not folding, you want to ask, are there worse value or worse hands in Tan's range that could conceivably call a jam for 100 more into a million pot? And the answer is clearly yes, right? So I think I like a jam. Kind of a nasty spot he's been roped into, but that's how it goes. Always make sure you do give it some thought in these scenarios, though. Like if he had instead ace-king with the ace of clubs, he should not raise. Because then he's only going to be just putting more money in behind, right? So with ace-king with the ace of clubs, you can call and then fold to a river bet when you miss. And when you get there, you know you win the pot, right? So do not think that this is an all-in or fold scenario. A lot of people get it in their minds that you either have to go all in or fold when most of your chips are at risk, and that's just not true. When you're ahead, sure. Or when you're likely ahead, sure. Or when there are hands that you'd like to protect against, and those do make up a decent portion of your opponent's range, sure. But in scenarios where you very likely lose at showdown to everything, and your opponent's probably not going to fold for another 100 into the million pot, then you should just go ahead and call and then fold if you miss. So they do end up getting it all in. I like Badziakouski's all in here. Just a very, very rough scenario. They're going to run it 2 times, playing a gigantic pot. Let's see who the poker gods are going to favor today. Who all do you think it's going to be? In a previous video, I saw Tan lose 2 flips with ace-king against Isaac Haxton's queens. I just see Isaac Haxton there loving life with a load of money. Let's see if he can be a little bit more lucky against Badziakouski. First run out is... Ooh, 5 of clubs. Not Tan's day today. So now he's 0 for 3 in roughly flipping scenarios. As we see, he's actually 70% here. It's pretty good. It's always nice when you get the first one. I said that last time. It's always nice when you get the first one. It's such a relief. You're like, all right, at least we're not going to lose a load of money this time. Second run out is... Oh my goodness, 7 of clubs. Tan doesn't look like he's having a fun time. Brutal. So Tan somehow loses this hand despite having a stranglehold on it pre-flop and on the flop to lose 573,000 euros to Mikita Badziakouski. So that's going to be it for today. I hope you enjoyed this hand from the Triton Poker, Party Poker 2,000, 4,000, 8,000 euro game. These streams are great. Thanks to Party Poker and Triton for putting these on. If you like this content that I'm making, let me know in the comments section. Click like, click subscribe, share it with your friends, and I'll talk to you next time.